Welcome to Breaking the Chains, Healing from Emotional and Physical Abuse. This is the beginning of Season 3. You can donate by clicking the link in the description below. Also, you can either buy my merch by clicking the link in the description below or scan the code on the screen. And here's a list of my merch. I have tote bags, caps, drinking glasses, water bottles, spiral notebooks, drawstring bags, mugs, and here's what the mugs look like, pillows, hoodies, and last but not least, t-shirts. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Again, I am your host, Kelly. This podcast will continue to explain the signs of mental and physical abuse, ways to heal after emotional and physical abuse, and encourage each victim of abuse to continue to fulfill your life's purpose. There are an estimated 10 million people who have experienced domestic violence. When you have millions of people experiencing domestic violence, then we need a change. We can make a change by standing against emotional and physical abuse and hold the abusers accountable for their actions. And now I'm going to be discussing how being in a mental and physical abusive relationship can affect your physical health. Having a relationship with an abuser is destroying you. The fact stated by several studies proving that a victim of an abusive partnership is destroying his or her physical health. The trauma that you are enduring during your abusive partnership will cause these very serious health conditions. And here's are these health conditions that it will cause. Number 1, diabetes. 2, heart disease. 3, COPD, which means chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. 4, high blood pressure. 5, cancer. 6, fibromyalgia. A victim of domestic abusive relationship will have PTSD, which means post-traumatic stress disorder. Your PTSD is worse for that some people who suffer from PTSD for they had a traumatic event that occurred once. However, your abuse never stops. Also, when you're in a partnership with an abuser, it affects your mental health. Here are signs your mental health is affected by your abuser. 1, you will experience anxiety. 2, depression. 3, concentration problems. 4, obsessive negative thoughts. Trauma is described by the Substance Abuse and Mental Service Administration as events or circumstances experienced by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening, which result in adverse effects on the individual's functioning and well-being. This means that a victim of abuse is being destroyed physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Stress is the normal part of life. The stress of being in a relationship with an abuser is abnormal because it's constant physical and emotional abuse. It's severe and it's devastating. The victim of an abusive partnership isn't doing good in any area of his or her life. You are having trouble at your job, not as close to your friends. You're feeling distance with your family and struggling to serve Jesus in your church. The stress of living with your abuser is affecting every area of your life. Of course, your abuser is feeling great, for he or she sleeps very good at night. He or she feels no pain. The abuser's health isn't affected by their actions. Abusers don't have a conscience. Therefore, nothing bothers him or her. From your abuser's point of view, everything is your fault. However, none of the abuse is the victim's fault. Spiritually, your abuser as abuser is a mess. However, he or she will never admit it. When an abuser don't have the compatibility to truly care about someone else, then nothing that happens to their victim bothers them. The abuser doesn't care that you are hurting, lonely, and breaking down mentally and physically. The abuser believes that it is your problem and that it's all in your head and all your fault. Therefore, you are losing yourself when you're in an abusive relationship. The victim is being broken down day by day, month by month, and year by year in every aspect of your life, meaning that you are emotionally, physically, and spiritually breaking down. You will one day wake up and not recognize who you are anymore. Your abuser is ripping from you your self-worth, your sense of value as a person. Also, the abuser is taking everything from you. The victim is barely surviving. Victims of an abusive relationship is living in fear, isolation, and misery. You give up your dreams for your abuser to achieve his or her dreams and desires. When a victim of an abusive relationship leaves his or her abuser, you will begin to feel better. Your physical and mental health will improve drastically. You will regain your energy, actually happy again, and you are drawing closer to Jesus. Also, after you leave your abusive relationship, you can think so much clearer. You make better decisions for you and your child or children. You can see a bright future now. And I would like to state some Bible verses too. This is from Psalm chapter 29, verse 11. The Lord will give you strength unto his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. That is in Psalm chapter 29, verse 11. And I'm going to state another Bible verse, which is in Psalm chapter 30, verse 5. For his anger endureth but a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I'm going to repeat that last part. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That's in Psalm chapter 30, verse 5. And here is the last two Bible verses that I would like to share. This one is found in Psalm chapter 91, verse 7. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come near thee. That's in Psalm chapter 91, verse 7. This one is found in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. I want to repeat that one too. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. That's in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 2. And here's a quote that I found that I thought would be really encouraging. And I have not found the author, so the author is unknown. However, it can be found. The whole story can be found in the Bible in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 20 through 54. If God puts a Goliath in front of you, he must believe that there is a David inside of you. That's very encouraging. Let me repeat that again. If God puts a Goliath in front of you, he must believe that there is a David inside of you. Now I'm going to be discussing post-separation abuse. Hold on, let me grab a drink real quick. The definition of post-separation abuse is when an abusive relationship ends. Your abuser need for power and control does not disappear. It merely transitions to a new form of abuse. The platform for post-separation abuse is the family court system, and the abuser weaponizes the children and family court professionals to maintain power and control. When a victim of an abusive partnership ends their relationship with their abuser, doesn't always mean that the abuse ends. After you left your abuser, set your boundaries, continue to stick with your boundaries with your abuser or ex-abuser. Then he or she will attempt to hurt you through post-separation abuse tactics. Your abuser or ex-abuser may threaten you. Here are ways that your abuser or ex-abuser may threaten you. 1. He or she will threaten to harm you physically. 2. Threaten to damage your physical possessions. 3. Compromise your career or reputation. 4. Use the law against you. For example, sue you or pay people associated with the legal system. 5. Sharing private information about you with others. 6. Keeping you from seeing and speaking to your child or children. Post-separation abuse continues to escalate and often far surpasses the domestic violence that victims are subjected to while under the same roof as their abuser. After the relationship ends, the abuser sets their sights on the child or children to exert control and harass or threaten the healthy parent. Every high conflict custody battle has 3 basic narratives: the abuser's need for control, the abuser's need to win, and the abuser's desire to hurt or punish the healthy parent. Post-separation abuse does not just affect the victim. It has both immediate and long-lasting effects on children, resulting in high adverse childhood experience. And that is ACES. That means high adverse childhood experience. ACES, a term used to describe any traumatic event during childhood such as divorce, violence, emotional abuse, neglect, substance abuse, or even an environment that undermines a child's sense of bonding or stability. The ACE study, the Center for Disease Control in Kaiser Permanente, should be the courtroom Bible for judges and other family court professionals who are tasked with the responsibility of acting in the best interest of the children. Financial abuse happens during an abusive relationship and during post-separation abuse. Financial abuse is a tactic used by your abuser so that he or she can have full control over you financially. This can mean by making you quit your job, being a stay-at-home mother or stay-at-home father, or making you get fired from your job. Your abuser knows by using financial abuse that their victim can't leave their abuser because he or she does not have the financial means to do so. Also, your abuser will get loans, houses, vehicles, or credit cards in their victim's name. This is another entrapment technique of financial abuse, for the victim will feel trapped to stay with their abuser for their house, loans, vehicles, or credit cards are listed in your name. And the reason that your abuser most likely is using this technique for their credit score or delinquent payment, past payment, are in shambles. Therefore, the victim is feeling trapped because everything is in your name. If you're still with your abuser, never let him or her put houses, loans, or credit cards in your name. After you leave your abuser, you can close out accounts, pay the accounts off, or get a great attorney to bring forth a judge ordering your abuser to be held accountable for it. Here are signs of financial abuse. 1. Withholds, mismanage, or delays support payments and court-ordered reimbursements. 2. Blocks access to bank accounts and other financial resources. 3. Interferes or jeopardizes job interviews, employment, or career advancement of the safe parent. 5. Misuse of litigation to disadvantage the safe parent financially. Hold on, let me get me a drink. Research indicates financial abuse occurs in 99% of all domestic violence cases. One of the top reasons for a victim to stay or return to their abuser is because of financial abuse. For you have concerns of providing for you and your child or children. Financial abuse occurs from your abuser or ex-abuser no matter of your educational background, race, or economic background. For example, your abuser can make a statement such as, "I know that you are under a lot of stress right now, so why don't you let me take care of the finances and I'll give you money each week to take care of what you need." Over time, the abuser will give you, their victim, less and less allowance. Your abuser wants all control of your finances. In some cases, the abuser uses violence or threats and intimidates their victims from working or having access to the family funds. Here are methods that your abuser will use to gain financial control over their victim. 1. Forbidding the victim to work. 2. The abuser will sabotage their victim's work or employment opportunities by stalking or harassing their victim at the workplace or causing the victim to lose his or her job by physically battering prior to important meetings or interviews. 3. Forbidding the victim from attending job training or investment opportunities. 4. The abuser controlling how all the money is spent. 5. Your abuser will not include you in investment or banking decisions. 6. Not allowing you to access the bank accounts. 7. Your abuser is withholding money or giving an allowance. 8. Forcing the victim to write bad checks or file fraudulent tax returns. 9. Running up large amounts of debt on joint accounts. 10. Refusing to work or contribute to the family income. 11. The abuser withholding funds for their victim or children to attain basic needs such as food and medicine. 12. Your abuser will hide assets. 3. Stealing the victim's identity, property, or inheritance. 14. Your abuser will force you to work in a family business without pay. 15. Refusing to pay bills and destroying the victim's credit score. 6. Forcing the victim to turn over public benefits or threatening to turn the victim in for cheating or misusing benefits. 17. Filing false insurance claims. 18. Your abuser will refuse to pay or evade child support or manipulate the divorce or custody process by drawing it out by hiding or not disclosing assets. Here's the impact of financial abuse. The short and long-term effects of financial abuse can be devastating. Survivors without assets are unable to obtain safe and affordable housing funds to provide for themselves and their child or children. Survivors' fear of homelessness is the reason most victims stay with their abuser. The long-term effects of financial abuse after the victim left his or her abuser is ruined. Credit scores, sporadic employment history, and legal issues caused by the abuse makes it very difficult to gain independence, safety, and long-term security. So thank you all for joining the beginning of my third season. Again, you can donate by clicking the link in the description below. Also, you can either buy my merch by clicking in the description below or scan the code on the screen. And here's a list of the merchandise that I have again. I have tote bags, caps, drinking glasses, water bottles, spiral notebooks, drawstring bags, mugs, pillows, hoodies, t-shirts. And again, thank you all for your continued support, and see you next time, and have a great Saturday evening.